Well, it says that I am live. I don't have anyone in the room yet. I came on a little bit early. I'm just sort of checking everything out to make sure it holds. Don't come down. Because today I'm going to be featuring the garden. And I had some people place some questions in the community page below, and I'll go into those. And I'll tell you what I'm up to. I'll give you some ideas of some hints of some things that I've seen that are going on that I think interest us. And it's gotten to be a balmy 41 here today, 41 here today, which is just wonderful. Hi, Lucy Phillips and Stephanie D. Welcome. I was just doing my little patter until we kind of get a critical mass. We've got 3 viewers and 2 people talking. I realize it's kind of an odd day because a lot of people had bad weather and were kind of boxed in, and this may be like where I am and be the first day you could possibly get out, except I still think 41 is cold, so I'm going nowhere. And part of the reason I wanted to come on today is I'm going to start. This was something I was intending to do in December, and then I got the crud. And so now I'm going to do it. I'm going to have garden parties for people who own the garden. The garden is right here. You can see the garden here. Oh, that's what it was this morning yesterday when I woke up, 12 degrees. That was the lowest here. And it got up to the 30s yesterday. It's going to the 40s today. I know. I think, humanity has a chance because we're back to discussing the weather as a major topic among people when they talk to each other about things. I think that's important. Stephanie Adams. Oklahoma. Yeah, you're a little north of me. Hi, Kathy G. So what I'm going to be doing in the next few months is I'm going to have garden parties, and they'll just be like I do normal live, and I'll play with the garden and we'll talk about it and I'll walk you through all the different things. But for people who own the garden, if you look in the links below, there's a thing about Oracle Garden. If you're interested in it, I'm going to send you the extra paperwork that actually when we printed the gardens I didn't have yet. It's stuff I've channeled since then. And it's a method to learn how to study the garden and understand what each space means with each stone for yourself, for your own individual self. We're going to go through those exercises in some of these garden party classes. We're going to do readings on certain topics. We're going to, and just sort of, and just sort of move on from there. And I have had a couple of people reach out to me, and I am putting some of them together, and we're doing like an hour and a half private tutorial. But if you want any of that stuff, you have to 1, own a garden, and 2, tie in through the link that's below. And then the other thing that happened, garden parties, yay, yeah, they're fun. They really are fun. I've had a couple of them. I taught Jeffrey before. It was at the garden party that he and I decided to start to do the daily duos, which we are still doing. And the we in that is me, but I'm only doing it because he has had no place to tape. He got a studio. I've taped through the 10th. I'm thinking after the 10th I'll be back. Yes, Angelita, I have hearts. I will have hearts. They have conquered making them, and just as they made them, and they made me a beautiful one to have. And Janice is one of the people who signed up for the tutorial. Just as they got me the heart, they did the heart, and I told them I want to do the heart and the throat chakra. Well, they put together throat chakra, but they put the wrong crystals in it. They put peridot instead of lapis lazuli. And while I understand young 20-something acrylic artists in Wisconsin don't know the difference between the two, I wrote back to him. I said, no, 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 no. But I do know a psychic who works a lot with extraterrestrials and things like that, and she very much ties to that world. So communicating through a stone that actually we know is one of the earliest stones made from meteorites, peridot. I talked to her about it, so that's egg is going to her. But they do have the process down. The eggs are gorgeous. They're really, really pretty. And I don't really want to show them publicly because then people will be yelling at me. I have 7 people who I owe them to, and that's the first thing they're working on is making the 7 heart chakras that I had already sold, and they've hung on since May waiting for them. And then the other problem is that it was taking them longer with the machinery they had. Well, the day before they closed their plant down because of COVID. This is what happens to people who gets mixed up with the eggs. But anyway, their machine blew up, so they got a new machine. So the new machine's supposed to be there this week. They're supposed to be figuring out how to gang more of them together because at the rate they were going, they could make 1 of each a day. And I said, that's not going to be fast enough, and we need to know. And hi, Melissa Miller. I'm glad you got your email. I don't know if y'all saw it, but man, Mercury was at the end of retrograde was kicking me in the head, and it just cut my internet off. And my son, that's how he makes his absolute living, is staying connected to the world through that. He came roaring down the stairs, and our server, there was something problem on the line, and that's why I didn't come back, because I knew I wasn't going to get back. Anyway, but Melissa's got her reading. I wrote it up for her because I knew who she was, and I had her email. Okay, we've got some folks on here. I have some people who asked for readings. I think I'm going to wait on doing their readings till I see if some of them show up. And Helene, you're here. Yay, that's one of my readings. And then I'm going to discuss a documentary that's going to start on the 22nd of February. 2/22/22 is the date that this documentary starts. It's in 10 parts. It's based on a book called Cosmos and Psyche, which was written in 2006, I believe, but he worked on it longer than that. But it's a brilliant man named Janice who has taken historical incidents and major outer planets when they were really closely interacting, squares, oppositions, some trines too. And I'd heard about it through Rick Levine, who's an astrologer, then a show he did, and then I saw that there's a documentary about the guy who'd made this documentary. That is how much of a nerd I am. I will watch a documentary about a documentarian. I majored in broadcast film, and the backgrounds of how all this stuff comes together fascinates me, from having worked in it and done some of that kind of stuff. Anyway, the bottom line on this is below in the description today, there is a link. I've learned how to set them up, so you just have to hit it, and it'll take you where you need to go. And it's called The Changing of the Gods. And it's about how we are in the end of a cycle of incredible paradigm shifts. And it explains astrologically the setup for the times we're going in and where we're going. And that because we are the planet of free will, what choices we have and can make and can't and don't have to make. What they do is they go back and they look at how some of these aspects were there when women were fighting for equality in the 60s, when we were having racial equality in the 60s, when we wanted to end the war in the 60s, but then it goes back into the 30s. It goes back even further in time, and he connects how these major planets, when they come together, the incredible historical insights that we have on it. So I gave you the link because the trick about this one is you have to sort of sign up so they can send you the link you can go to on your computer and see the show. Now, the shows are going to be released one a day, and the first one will be the first day, and then it'll be run for 24 hours. You can kind of come in whenever you want to come in and see it, and then the next day it'll be part 2. And none of them will repeat. They won't repeat till all 10 of them have been run, and then on that day, they will repeat all 10 of them in a row, which is like, even for a documentary loving nerd like me would be a bit of a trial. But I wanted to give everyone a chance, because people say, how do you know this and where'd you find this out? Well, it's all books I've read and things I've seen. And this, to me, from the very first time I heard about it, seemed like just such an incredible thing, because we are going through so many changes. And right now I'm working on a show with Danny, and we're going to talk about frequencies and vibrations, which also has a lot to do with what the show's talking about, and about how each of us can adapt ourselves to it and monitor ourselves through it. Dozen Cats is here. Mel Boussaint here. Thank you. And thank you all for showing up and coming up. And Lauren, thank you for being here. So what I think I'll do first is, as you can see, I have the garden. So I'm going to roll the garden for today's readings, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who wrote distinct questions. Now, the first one I'm going to tell you, LP. LP asked me a yes/no, and I don't do yes/nos in the garden. So I laid out my tarot cards. And LP's question was about a Medicaid payment, and would they come through? And it said, yes, but you're just going to have to keep pushing. They're not going to come through it because all of a sudden the sun showed up in this reading. It showed you had to be the hangman, you had to take activity, you had to fight with them about it. But they ultimately know they're obligated to pay this, and the payment will be made. So I'm just going to start these in the order that I receive them after I do today's reading. And if you haven't seen me read in the garden before, where you been? Come on, every night at 7 o'clock I read with Jeffrey. I read the garden and we read tarot too. Okay, this is about today's lessons. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, great. Spirits in heart. The amethyst, this one right here, is in the heart chakra. And spirit makes the heart look alive. So we've got a lot of spirit with us. We've got values in the third eye. And that means bring an abundance of your life through learning how to manifest visions. That's why I'd kind of like you guys to see this documentary, because it gives you some insight into the energy behind the idea of manifesting your visions. It also, we have in earth, we have clarity, which is sodalite, and yellow-orange calcite. And what those mean when they're there, and in case you guys don't know, this is why I tell you guys you need to take my class, and you can get all these sheets and you can learn how to do all this. You have many paths ahead of you, and the correct one will appear. It will become clear to you. And I think that's true because the mind's right by it, and it says, final thoughts from this situation are coming rapidly. And then we have your body is in air, and that means ground your thoughts. So when I would put all this together for today, it's that we're going to learn a lot, that we're all here from a proper spiritual insight, that we're going to be able to learn how to manifest and how to grow, that new ideas are coming, and there's a lot of different ways you can look at it, so maybe you can figure out the one you want to look at, and to ground ourselves to get ready for this. So thank you. Yes, do hit thumbs up, because the more, when I have a show, I've had as much as more than 50% of the people watching one of my shows. Of course, I don't have tons of people, but liking the show. And when you do that, then it keeps getting spread around and around, because I have 2 YouTube accounts, so I can follow what's happening to this one, and I see when things pop up. Now, the first person who had a question was Helene. It's her 70th birthday on Monday, and she wanted to know about a year. Well, we're going to see. Okay, what's the next year, starting with the 70th? What's areas of emphasis for Helene? Oh, cool. Got a bunch out here. Well, you're pretty clear. I think you already have some plans for what you want to start doing this year. Your path forward looks like it's moving pretty rapidly. Look carefully for the omens, and they're going to tell you how to move forward. So that's really good for you. Your values are in the air and in the present. And that shows mental actions are the path to your abundance, and your Values are being purified right now. So I think you've already been doing a lot of work on what your 70th year is going to be like. Now you got your body and water. I don't know if you've been trying to lose weight or get control of your body, but that would be implied from this. You get help from the grounding elements, and things that have been affecting your body are going away. That when things are in water, it means that it's flowing out from the chart. And then you've got two of the top ones, the crown for enlightenment and tree of life. And you have your mind is in the crown, and it says helps give you confidence to take all of your activities and abilities and move forward and connect. And it's actually touching with the tree of life and spirit. And it reminds you that to just not do actions, but to take actions that your spirit moves you to do, because actions without spirit are empty. But I think with everything I see back here, you're moving forward very intentionally. Okay, Melissa wrote me a question in the thing too. I'm going to go through the 6 that I have, and I'm going to mark yours right now so that I don't lose it. I'm going to stay there. Okay. The second person who wrote me today, I hope does that wrap it up for you, Helene? I think it looks like a great year. I mean, trying to put year in 5 rocks, that's a pretty good year. Oh, Libra wanted to know about the Navy in Hawaii, and the Navy, apparently they were going to take care of some highly polluting situation. They're going to be forced to take care of it. I think that's going to be I think you're getting a lot of blowback right now, but I think it's going to happen. And Tammy, yay! Tammy wrote me, and we're going to look. Her husband finally, she wrote me 4 different times and said, my husband really wants to get a new job. And we kept seeing something was going to happen in the winter, and it did. He got it, and he got word of it when Mercury went direct, which is a good time, because that means he's really letting all the old crap go. We're going to see how this job will work out for him. Oh, great. Almost nothing ended up in the middle, and that's really, really unusual with the way that these usually find. His spirit is in go for it. Man, he is so happy to have this change. It says spirit is aligned with his ideas. He is working in an area where it was all tied up in cosmic wisdom, and it moved forward exactly when it's supposed to for him. His earth is between restate and solar plexus, and solar plexus is the body will bring forth the power in it. He needs to really be careful though about how he jumps into this, and I mean, he's really excited about it, but to go in it in a more tempered way. His mind is in false, which doesn't mean necessarily false. It means, okay, this ties to this one. His mind could mislead him. Yeah, he's out of where he is, but his value is totally in the future, and that's really a strong place for him to end up. It says all the gifts of this new job are not even recognized. So this tells me, as long as he's wanted this for so long, as long as he doesn't let his mind mislead him. And I mean, sometimes you're like, oh God, it's not the place I was, and it is not the place he was. He has so many good signs here that it's time for him to, especially having spirit, and go for it. But he needs to just go in. And today's a new day, and let go of the old stuff from the old job and the people who held him back, which is what I kept seeing when I was rolling for him. Then I got the lady who had the Medicaid payment, and I did a reading on that, and I told you what it said. And Janice wants to know if IF is good for her, and that's intermittent fasting. I take it that's right. I know you're in the chat room. Intermittent fasting is correct for you, and yes, intermittent fasting means you have a very designated 4, 6, or 8 hour window you eat in, and then the rest of the day you just use fluids, and it's a way to help enhance your diet. And I do it. And I ended up just slipping into doing it because of the way I eat. But anyway, we're going to see. But intermittent fasting. And see, yours all ended up in you. You have some concerns about the intermittent fasting because you've tried so many things before and they just haven't quite worked out. And you're really, really, really trying to figure out how to make this work. And you need to look at what really didn't work in the past. Now, clarity is going away. It's in water. You have all the clarity you need. Follow the path that you feel is strongest. And your values are in air, and air is new directions. And it says mental actions are the path to your abundance. So, keep your eye on the prize. Think about it positively mentally. And here we got your body, which is, I think, what intermittent fasting tends to be about, losing weight. And you've got it between earth. Physical changes are coming. Yay! When you don't hold on to old things you learned in the past. So you have to go into a real complete change cycle. And I think the fact you're picking that kind of a path to diet in will be good because it's clear. You wanted to know your guardian angels, and I got two of them. You've got two of them. You've got Jean-Claude and Jean-Marie. And I don't know if you love France or ever wanted to go there, but I think you have some strong connections to France. And that's in your past life, and that's where they came from. T. Jones wants to know about her March. Well, I think you're like going into a reunion, or going to go back be with family or something because it shows your spirit is falling into the past. And your body's in fire and earth, which means you probably have some of the same issues about weight loss. Your mind is in the earth, which means new ideas are clearly coming to you. And more is going to be brought forward for you. Your values are your spirit. I'm going to go to your spirit first. Oh, this one says the spirit being in the past says a lot of the transformation you've been looking for has already happened. So this March is going to be a pulling together a lot of things that you wanted to deal with for a long time. And your root chakra, you're going to have some great impouring of knowledge, and you're going to speak the truth, and you're going to maybe finally clarify with some people how you want things done, because your throat chakra has ideas and wisdom will flow freely for you. March is going to be a beautiful month, and it's also your path forward is in March, and it's look carefully for omens and how to move forward, but you're going to see them and you're going to be able to speak to them. Your mind's getting clear, and you've got new ideas and wonderful new ideas emerging. Your values are coming up this month, and you've actually already grown to a new place. You just haven't recognized it. And maybe that's what you need to do before March so that you can take full advantage, especially when you can clearly see the omens that are around you and read the synchronicities. Now we're going to go to Melissa. Okay, Melissa is, do I need, okay, we're going to ask about the chronic pain in your body. And I'm going to see if I can see when it's going to cease, and if I see a pattern on how it's going to cease. Okay. Okay, you've got your body, and that's a great place for it to be when you're asking this kind of question, because it helps when you get grounded in it, and your clarity is also coming out of the earth. You have many paths ahead of you. You're going to choose a correct one out of things you've learned from the past. Your mind is centered in do not become... part of it is, I think, and I don't blame you because I know you've been through a lot with all these things, but part of it is you've got that image that something's holding me back instead of saying it's really not here. I think the fact you keep saying, what is it that's holding me back? It keeps throwing images at you saying, you like this one? You like this one? I think this stone says, clarify what you've learned from the past and just move on. And your sacral chakra, which is a creativity, which is how you're going to work with this, your spirit says, Spirit incites creative energy. So you need to take a new perspective on what this pain is. And throw one more stone in. Third eye. I think if you connect with your spirit, it's going to clear it up for you. I don't think it's a karmic debt. I just don't think it's a karmic debt. But, you know, people who know about karmic debts are numerologists, not me. Okay, Sharon Sipe finally hit the room. Yay! Let's see. Because I had her things tied up, so. Janice, I think your health going forward is going to be great. I think if I misread the IF, I'm sorry, but if I see IF, that's what it means to me. I got the message that was on the community board, Janice, and if you can reword what specifically you want to know about, I'll be glad to help you. Unless the IF was if, which would be a complete misreading of that thing. Okay. Okay. I don't think I can give you how much more you need to do. I can look at if where you're positioning yourself now, you're getting the best energies. This is from Arlene, and she wants to know about chronic pain and weight loss. Okay, good. You got a lot of stuff out in the... Well, your spirit's in the present, and you're actually changing right now. You're coming to a new alignment about things, and I think it's in your mind because up here, you've been opening yourself up to some radiant kind of guidance to help you with seeing your way forward. So I think you're doing the right things. Your values are moving in air, and that's always good. Your clarity, though, what's clearly, what do you need to see? It's in the solar plexus, and it's there's more than one way to do this. You just need to pick a way and head in it and see how far you can get. I don't know how much weight you need to lose. I don't know how tied that is. I do know that when we're overweight, we have a lot more inflammation in our body. And actually, the overweight is a sign of inflammation in your body. I don't know if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic or already a type 2. I'd work as fast as I could to get rid of any of the things that have to do with that, and that means getting rid of sugar. And that means having a certain kind of discipline. It also means getting rid of a lot of processed foods. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, for your clarity, you've got several paths, and you're trying to pick a plan, and your body's right in the middle of everything, which it always is when you're trying to lose weight. It just seems to follow you around everywhere. I can't imagine why that happens. It says, ground your thoughts, physical changes are coming, and you get help from how you stay grounded, and your values in air. Mental actions are the path to your abundance. So I think you have to really do some sort of chakra focusing. I don't know you necessarily need to vacuum them out, but you need to focus more on some of the things going on in your chakras and some of the ways that they get imbalanced, and then they lead you down the path to eating something you shouldn't eat. I know more than I care to know. I have a lifetime of training in that. Let's see, we got Helene. Oops. And where was that? Okay. Yeah, you can, if you want to go to a site that I just did a show on that's supportive of people who are looking for kind of help in figuring out which way is up and where to go and what to do next, Dozen Cats for Me, Wellness, which is a YouTube channel. Kelly runs it, and I think she's willing to sit and talk, and I think sometimes that's what we need when we're thinking about this. And okay, I answered the one question. I wondered if I answered it right. She said, yeah, you did. I'm better than I know. Okay. So the deal about the garden parties I'm going to have, they're going to be sessions I do like this, where I go with this. But if you own a garden, I have more extensive materials on how to interpret the garden, including a workbook where you say you start with spirit, and you just pick a spot and you purposefully throw spirit into go for it. You want to go for it. And then in this workbook, you say, okay, spirits in this, go for it. Spirit ended up in go for it, and there's a place for you to write on that workbook page in the go for it spot about how you felt when you rolled it. And when I taught my class, empaths felt it. Some people said they felt the rock falling through their body or coming up in there. They felt the energy coming up through their body. It's a lot of different ways to look at it. Some people heard things. Some people heard a word. It doesn't matter. And the way I came up with doing it that way is when I first built the garden, I had the stones, I had the garden, and I didn't have anything as to how to interpret it. I mean, except I kind of knew what I think the chakras meant. And as if you were around last summer, you know that my guides and the masters and several other folks chimed in every night telling me how to define each space. I send you the workbook with all of those little, and they're not long. Some of them are 2 paragraphs. I think that's 2 or 3 paragraphs is the most. Some of them are really short. But they're what I saw when in my vision that night. I went in and I saw, in the case of Go For It, that was one of the first ones I saw, and I remember it very, very clearly. And it comes from an incident I had as a child where I'm a product of white privilege. I had very wealthy parents, and my father decided I had to learn how to golf. Now, I was also a very short child and was short-tempered with things and not terribly patient. And hiking around, and even though it's not as hot as it is where I live now, hiking around in the hot sun in the summer, hitting a ball and then going and chasing it seemed to be, why did you hit the damn ball? Just put it back in your bag and go into the clubhouse. But he insisted I take it. And so I was out on the last day, had a class to take for this, and I'm not all that tall now. I'm between 5'3" and 5'4". And as a kid, I was really short. I was always the shortest kid, except for my sister, saving grace. My older sister was shorter than me. And so I couldn't see down the golf course. They have all these hills and mounds and things you got to hit over. And I taught, and the pro said that was coaching us, he said, hit the ball to the pin. And I said, I can't see the flag. I mean, I'm too short. It's like not there. And he just looked at me and he said, it's right over there. Just go for it. And that's what I remembered in my dream when he said that to me. And so I just hit that down. I was so angry. I have a horrible Irish temper. I was so angry. I hit that ball. And I got to within like an inch of the pin. I mean, an inch on the green. And that's with not knowing where the hell it was. So when I get a stone and go for it, it means hit it. Do it. Do whatever you need to do. Go for it, because it's going to work out. You're going to be right by the pin if you're not in it. So, and those sorts of messages are in the paperwork I'm sending people. And hopefully you can relate to it. I did have one more thing I wanted to do today. Oh, okay. I've had a couple people write me recently for angel guide names and things like that. This is probably the best book I've ever read. And look at how you can do this in an afternoon, guys. It's available now. When I first found out about this book, it was not in print. And I had to go through a used book dealer in England to find a copy. But Angel Speak is by How to Talk with Your Angels. It's by Barbara Mark and Trudy Griswold. And they were sisters. And they were on opposite ends of the country as adults in the 70s. And all of a sudden, both of them started being woken up by angels. And they ended up in the late 70s on Good Morning America. And they were writing about all the stuff we're talking about now. And they teach you how to speak to your angels. And let's see, right up the page. I don't know if, yeah, you can kind of see. See, there's black printing and red printing. When it's the printing's in red, it's the message from their angels. And the angels always cause them dear one. And this is what's on the page I pulled to. Your earth is truly going through a spiritual revolution. Know this. You personally are seeking. You are seeking and alive. You are connected to your path. We love you and we're here with you. All you have to do for our help is ask. And there's all kinds of tips and tricks on working with the spirit world. Well, some of it I just kind of learned to do by doing it. But that book helped me so much when I was really starting to come out and I quit everything else. And let's see, I got a bunch more things. Just went boop, 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 boop. Are you pre-diabetic? Good. And if you don't eat processed foods, that's a big step towards it. Well, I'm a savory person, and I feel for people who are sweet freaks and going to COVID, and going to keto. But I will tell you that once you get all that kind of stuff cleared out of your body, the first thing, somebody said, well, if you never lost another pound, would you continue to do keto? And I said, yes, because I'm actually doing low carb right now, but because of having had COVID. But I would continue to do it because it took care of what it was. I had bad arthritis so bad I had to have my knees replaced, but I had other aches and pains around in my body and a lot of other things that, besides losing the 100 pounds, just the diet pushes so much of that away from you. And a lot of the inflammation and pain that goes along with being insulin resistant. It's really wonderful. But I mean, anytime you start working on your body and improving it, and with consciousness changing it, it's going to be a better day for you and your body. And since I'm sort of classically attached to mine, I'm not going to go anywhere. Okay, it's okay. Janice, if you go into the link below that says about the Oracle Garden, if you hit that and put in the subject matter garden, I will send those to anyone. But it won't do you any good unless you have a garden. Reading it will be kind of like trying to learn tarot by just reading things in a text with no pictures. It's not going to work. And so people who took my class, first class, a stab at this, I was learning how to work with it while I was teaching other people. And one could use the old phrase, blind leading the blind. But I think these classes are going to be better because, like I said, I taught Jeffrey Ripecolor. He got one and he said, can you help me with this? So I drafted a friend of mine who hadn't taken the class, but he has a garden. And all three of us sat for a couple hours, and that's all these classes are, just to get you an idea of how to work with it, how to see it, how I envision it, and then you start to work with it yourself. And by the way, Jeffrey did tell me that the garden didn't get hurt in his fire. He had to wash the scarf because it smelled a little smoky. And the other thing is he owned a grid from me, and it was hanging on the wall in the kitchen right above the sink. And because of where it was, it didn't get damaged. He said when he went in the first day after the fire, it was just sitting there, hanging there and smiling at him. That's the way to do it. If you watch these shows, I'm going to talk, I mean, right now I'm not doing the whole deal, but like, we're going to talk about how do you decide how you align the garden. Does air have to be north? That's probably the greatest philosophical question that's arisen from the garden. But according to Vivian, it does. I tend to lay it that way anyway. You kind of want to do that because then you don't have to constantly rethink where to fall, what's going on. And when north is it's like that. And then I've got root, sacral. The chakras kind of follow each other around. I do have one more thing I wanted to do today. I pulled a color card, and I pulled mauve, which is really a pretty card. And the card mauve means use mauve to release the stuckness that we have in our ears so we can hear adequately. Mauve connects intuition, awakening, inspiration, and expanding your spiritual awareness, helps you let go of the density and dense energies. Focus your attention on your ears. Do they feel clear or blocked? And I know a lot of us have ringing in our ears these days. That's just part of the downloads. Is there anything I don't want to hear? Your ears are intelligent. They may try to block out information you're avoiding. The next time you're around someone who's saying something hurtful or upsetting to you, imagine mauve rays moving through your ears and pushing out anything that is unclear or unsuited for your hearing. Then that will dissipate this negativity. Do this a few times and it becomes pretty much of a pattern, a habit. And say, divine intelligence, please follow me, listen to me, and apply your divine wisdom so I hear what I need to hear. And I think there's a lot of that going around of people trying to say stuff we don't really want to hear about. Anyway, I was supposed to have just this today, and of course, as soon as I put up the thing saying I was going to come and just do a class, I now have 2 readings to do this afternoon. I'm doing the last of my 12-month readings because she and I had trouble getting together. And I have a friend that, she's a friend and also a client who is in the middle of arranging her whole life and rearranging the company she works for. So I get to talk to her. I do some business coaching. I do have a master's in business. They're not crazy to talk to me about that. Let's see. Yes, mauve is a beautiful color. It's sort of the color my hair is supposed to be, but my hair, that's the other thing, is it's been cold here, so tonight I will shower and scrub everything up again and fix the color in my hair because it fades out. I guess the thing I want you to seriously think about, the changing of the gods as a possibility. And these guys are self-distributing it. They had offers from Netflix and Prime and all those guys, but they chose not to take them. To me, it's fascinating because they started working on this film in 2012. And it is so totally relevant to exactly where we are right now. And they were supposed to have released the movie in 2021, but because of COVID, that didn't happen. And then it ended up that this was the sort of the divine date, the 2/22/22 is the date that they're releasing it. And I'm going to talk about some of my things that are coming up. We're going to be talking about vibrations, frequency, tracking your own personal vibration, how we're all responsible for our own personal vibration and how it works. And it would be much easier. It's one thing for me to sit here and say, oh, track your vibration. People just say it to me and I'm like, how the hell? I don't know. I felt like I felt yesterday. What's the deal? I don't feel terrible. I mean, some days I woke up recently feeling terrible, but I wasn't feeling bad. Then I learned how to use a certain pattern, and Danny and I are going to talk about this, a way to lock in, program a pendulum to read your vibrations. And he and I have been doing it for 2 months, and I think we're both pretty sure it works. So I hope that is encouraging to y'all. And let's see. Do you mind? Okay. Janice, if you go into the description below this, that accompanies the video, the comments, there's a link that says Oracle Garden, and that will take you to my email, and you just type in Oracle Garden, and you'll get the information for the garden. The Changing of the Gods, it's the link that goes right to their site where you can sign up for it. And you're just signing up for it. You don't have to go. I mean, God knows I've signed up for enough meetings I never made it to, but no, Eliza, that's why I put their website down. Now you can type Changing the Gods in YouTube, and you're going to find a series of interviews with different people who've been involved with this, explaining it. It'll be a website. No, if you go to the description that's below this, I think, I put it in there. There's a description box. There's a thing that says the name of this program, and then there's like about kind of underneath it, and it should be in there. And I will go double check, but I think they've been there before. There's no link for Changing of Gods. Okay. Yes, Angel Speak is available on Amazon. Okay, let me see if I can... Okay. Oh, I may have lost y'all. Okay. Oh, there I am. Okay. I'm going to hand type in the address that will take you to the Changing of the Gods so you can sign up for it. I just put it in there. Yeah, you just enter your email after you look at it, Sarah. That's right. And now let's see. Can I go back? I can't read your chat because I'm not hooked up anymore. Let me see if this... Oh, I'm back. Okay, I found it. See, you guys push me to new technological heights every day. And there it is. And I think, the thing is, like, I could watch this. Actually, I sent this to every of the readers that I sort of correspond with regularly. And Scott Allen of Spiritual Essence, he looked it up and he just put it out as a post, the link to it as a post. And he said, this is really cool. And it really gives our personal planetary development, our development as a collective of people on this planet, it puts it in perspective. And it also, I have people who say, oh, I can't stand astrology because they talk about angles and all this stuff. If you see astrology like a story and you see where astrologic things have worked before, it makes it much easier to follow what they're talking about. And you'll kind of learn how to listen for what you want to listen for. Yes, Stephanie, it's exactly the same one you got. I don't make myself work harder than I need to. And I am figuring a better way to do it. Maybe when I teach this course, I'll see some things I want to do differently. We had technical problems with some of the course last time. We had really bad audio problems, which we could never figure out. They were all on our end. There was audio would be there and then not be there. And then I found out I just want to do these kind of drop-in courses or put 2 or 3 people in at a time, because I found when I tried to organize a bunch of people together and do it over for 3 weeks, that's all I did. And at the end of, good Janice, she signed up already for the Changing of the Gods. I think it's an interesting concept because you don't have to be at a certain place at a certain time. On 2/22/22, they will be running it at that site all day, so you can kind of get in when you can get in. And I think that works well. That's like how some people follow a lot of readers. Oh, yeah, I not only have Saturn square my natal sun, I have Saturn square my natal ascendant. So I'm really got to learn how to read my progress chart, because my natal chart's beginning to bore me terribly. And so, unless someone has a really, really pressing question. You can just email me. Okay, I'll put my email in so you'll know where to send to get the garden. Okay, I'm coming back. What? Okay, if you have my email address, that'll work. Okay, there you go. There we go. It should be there somewhere. There it is. Crystal directions, and I think I spelled directions wrong. I put an S in it instead of a C because the type on this thing's teeny tiny when I'm not on my big screen. So it's crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com. And I misspelled Gmail too. That's classic. That's classic me typing on tiny typewriters. Anyway, that's how you can get a hold of me, or you can go to www.crystaldirections.com, and that's where my website is, and that's where my store is, and that's where you can see a lot of the things that I do, and figure out how to get there. You can go to Shopify. They love to sell my gardens. I love for them to sell my gardens, and I think at this I'm going to cut it off because I've been going for an hour and I was not really intending to go long. I really, really would encourage, whether you're seeing this when it's live, whether you're seeing it in a couple days, whatever, these guys are setting up getting emails for this production until the 22nd. And I really, really think it's something that, and I may be wrong, but like I said, I sat through an almost 2-hour interview with the guy who finally made this. Fascinating. He's 2 weeks older than I am. And the other place I heard someone interview, that guy's 3 weeks older than I am. So that's my generation doing something good, which there's a lot in my generation that don't. So anyway, I hope that helps everyone. And once again, I'm in one of the world's longest leaving the show things. Coming events on Thursday. I'm interviewing Jean Oristano, and she's doing the other thing I'm hot on right now, which is she's creating a Facebook group. And she's going to be talking about what the goal of her group is, and she's doing good. Helene signed up. She's doing exactly what what we're being pushed to do, creating collective groups for more collective consciousness to move in directions of positivity. And that's what all this is about. And so I'm going to go take my positive little brain and sit down for a minute and have a rest. I have to reconstruct my desk because I had to remake it so I could do the garden this way, with this thing being live. Oh, you can use any stone you want, but I'm telling you what I was supposed to put on in the garden, and that's why they're there. And you saw me throw the fluorite to get clarification. That's the stone I use. It's a dark green for fluorite that I use to say, okay, is there any element of this that I'm missing? I have a woman who uses a black stone, and I'm blanking on the name. It starts with an N, and it's an incredibly intense black stone. It's an incredibly intense grounding stone, and they're only found in the northernmost part of the earth, from Greenland across to Alaska and parts of Canada and stuff. Nuumite, Nuumite, Nuumite. She uses that the woman I was talking about that's going to be in the show Thursday. Jean uses a Nuumite because Nuumite's a stone she relates to. If you have stones you relate to and you want to throw them in the garden and figure out what they mean when they fit there, because I think if you read what all the other stones mean, you'll kind of get a feeling for what that area means. And oh, Scott showed up. Yay! Scott posted Changing of the Gods and on his thing much more effectively than I did. Apparently, Scott, I thought I'd posted it and I hadn't. So, but I'm encouraging everybody to go see that, to learn about these changes, to understand what our role is and how we're a part of a change that's much bigger than even our individual meditations or even our group meditations. We are part of something much bigger, and we need to understand that to move forward. And with that, I'm going to let everybody have a lovely day.